6 RC or release candidate has been out for a few days, and iOS 18.7 RC has been out as well. But there's even more to talk about since the iOS 26 RC is out its moving it. We'll talk about the latest Apple news, some new features, and also the overall experience. Not just my experience, but your experience based off the YouTube community poll on the post page. Where at the time of this video, there's over 24,000 votes and 245 comments, and I've gone through all the comments to determine what the experience is like for most everyone. So be sure to stick around toward the end of the video where I'll read some of your comments as well. Now it seems like Apple's opening a new store every single week. They're opening up a new Detroit store this coming week on the iPhone 17 launch day next Friday. You can see it here on their website. Let's see if I can refresh here. And there it's loading in the background. And it says Hello 313. You can see the new wallpaper here. So if you want to download that, you can do that. I'll link it in the description below. And you can see they're opening this new store. So it's great to see this new store opening in Detroit. And let me know if you're in the local area and if you're going to be checking it out as well. Now, Apple's latest iPhone Air is coming out this Friday as well. Now, I don't have one in hand yet. As you can see, this is just the case I went over the other day, and I finally received the iPhone Air battery for MagSafe, the MagSafe battery pack. Let me know if you want a separate video on this, or maybe there's already one out before this video. I haven't decided yet. But the iPhone Air apparently has some fairly expensive repair costs and some that aren't as bad. Apple published what each repair cost damage. So this would be out of warranty costs, but it looks like the battery is about the same at $119. But if you crack the front glass, it would be $329. The back glass would be about $159. The rear camera would be $169, and any other damage, maybe the whole thing, would be $699. Again, that's without AppleCare, but it seems to fall in line with other phones as well. Now, there's a new feature Apple showed off that's coming to Apple Watch with hypertension. If we go into the Health app, within the Health app, if maybe we go under Heart and then scroll down here, you'll see that we have hypertension notifications. Now, this isn't enabled yet, but it should be very soon, as Apple finally received their FDA approval in the United States. So according to 9to5Mac, this feature will be launching soon, probably on Monday with the release of iOS 26. We'll talk more about that in a moment though. Apple has shown a bunch of new icons for apps that you can install from the App Store, aside from what they've already updated with iOS 26. With iOS 26, they added a bunch of things such as podcasts, music, and other app icons. And if we go over to their spec page for the iPhone 16, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it looks like Mac Rumors discovered this, but if you keep scrolling down, you can see some of the newly updated icons. With the Apple Store, you'll see Clips here as a new one. We also have GarageBand, iMovie, and all of the other app icons as well. So if you want to take a look at those, I'll link it in the description. For some reason, it's updated here, not on every other page, but you can see what some of those icons will look like. We're still waiting for some, such as Final Cut Pro and a few others, though. Now, if you were running the AirPods beta, having some of the new features with iOS 26, with the new AirPods features, one thing you may have noticed with iOS 26 is if you go into your AirPods, so we'll wait for the option to show up here. Once we go in, if we scroll to the bottom, there's no longer an option to actually turn off the beta. However, it does still exist down in the developer app. If you have that, you usually have to plug this in with a computer with Xcode, so a Mac. Scroll to the bottom, then you can see beta software here. So if we scroll up a little bit, we'll find it. You'll see pre-release beta firmware, and then you can see all of the things with the beta firmware options. Now it's turned off by default, so this would make me think that once the firmware is out for the AirPods, it would just install. Now typically it would have already been out, at least the past couple of years. They released it ahead of iOS 26 or iOS 18, iOS 17, previous years. So we still haven't seen that firmware update yet. So hopefully we'll have that probably on Monday. Now it seems Apple fine heard us in our complaints about PWM. I discovered this back when I was using the iPhone 10, and I've made a big deal about it ever since. The iPhone 10, 10s, they control brightness all the way up to the latest devices with the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max by actually flickering the screen faster or slower if it's an OLED display. Back with the iPhone 10 and 10s, it really bothered my eyes and I wasn't sure why, so I started to look into it and discovered PWM. So it flickers the screen faster or slower depending on the brightness level, and about 1 out of 10 people experience this where it causes nausea or maybe causes eye strain or headaches. I just couldn't even look at the screen on the early days of the iPhone 10 and ended up up using the iPhone 8 Plus instead. So they've since addressed that a little bit with the later phones using little to no PWM above about 39% brightness, or such a high rate that you wouldn't notice it rather. But it looks like iPhone 17 Pro models actually have a switch to turn that off and switch to maybe a DC dimming mode.
Welcome back to Sunday Supplement. Let's talk Newcastle United now, who began life without Alexander Isak with a 1-0 win over Wolves. The men on Sunday, their headline is "Who Needs Isak?" with Toon's new hero, Baltimore, feels the fans love watching. Charlotte, it's been, shall we say, an eventful summer. Some might call it a traumatic one if you're a Newcastle United fan, but a huge win and a much needed one.
Yeah, I think it, like you say, much needed. It was one that they just needed to get over the line, especially against a Wolves side who are struggling, not just for goals, but obviously for points. They've not managed to pick up a single point yet. But when you spend £65 million on a new forward, especially to replace someone who's been so prolific, for him to get off the mark in his first start is obviously hugely important. And I think I've read a lot about him in terms of what sort of profile player he is, and a lot of people who've watched him over his career have said he's not a natural number 9. Well, that sort of goal looked like he was. And for, as you can see, there's the head in the back off the back of a cross. So him to be able to be building them relationships as well with the other players in the team so early on in his tenure is great. And yes, there was lots of promising signs. I think his hold-up play was really impressive as well. So, but yeah, for him to be able to get off the mark in his first game, get the love from the fans as well, and the inevitability was who needs Isak as soon as he scores that goal, wasn't it? So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on going forward.
Yeah, everyone has been reading up about Nick Baltimore. Craig Hope.
Believe it or not, the iPhone 13 is still a solid phone to use in 2025. It's running the same software, has the same features, and uses the same UI as the latest iPhones. The boxy design still holds up. It's fast. Thanks to Apple's image processing, it still takes fire bits. Even after 3 years, it's getting the same updates as the iPhone 16. And the best part, right now you can grab one for just $200, $300. So you get a seriously good deal. Believe it or not, the iPhone 13
has summed it up very nicely in his piece. And so has Baltimore made second Mainway on 65 minutes to score. So much for the perm-head mustachioed Baltimore having the look of a cult hero, Rudy Voller on stilts.
Most men believe that if they reject a woman, they've ruined their chances forever. They think what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Do you have our hands on it? It says, and we're going to be unboxing this phone today in 2025. This, of course, right over here is the 128 gigabyte model in rose gold as well. And I got this on eBay for around $130, so not too bad of a deal at all. The seller actually had 4 of them, so I'm a little curious to see where they got 4 of these iPhones, a brand new seal, but hopefully this video will bring back some nostalgia to you guys. What's even cooler is that today is the exact 10-year anniversary since Apple officially revealed the iPhone 6s. It's September 9th, 2025. Today is also the same day that Apple revealed the iPhone 17. So pretty much unboxing this phone exactly 10 years later, it is just insane how quickly time flies. So that's going to be a very interesting device to review in just a moment. But as you guys can see, we also have a fake iPhone silicone case here as well. I thought this was real. I bought it off of Mercari for like $10, so not too bad, but we're going to put this on the phone afterwards. Now, a couple things here real quick that I did want to point out is that with this box here, I mean, it looks pretty much immaculate. I mean, this seal here is literally straight. Usually what happens with a lot of these resealed iPhones is that the seal on top of them is just really poorly placed onto the actual box itself, but this looks like an authentic Apple seal. On the back of this device, everything looks the exact same. This was an AT&T model, and it looks like we don't have any writing here from any other languages. I know when I reviewed a Canadian model iPhone in the past, it had both English and French, so it looks like we have just English there. And on the bottom of here, of course, we have some more text. It looks like it says 6S, it says 128. I'm not sure what the R means, but it does say AT, which I'm pretty sure means AT&T. And yeah, history is about to be made, and this phone should be running iOS 9 as well. Now, whether or not it's going to activate is something we'll find out in just a moment. And I also hope this thing still has a charge. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and open this thing up. Looks like we got a nice little grip. Let's go ahead and turn that around so you guys can see what the phone looks like when it's not upside down. Let's open this up. Oh man, that is so nice. Take a look at that, guys. Rose gold, absolutely beautiful. Let me just go ahead and set this onto the table right there. But you guys can see, not too bad at all. This looks literally brand new, and I'm pretty sure this device is authentic as well. Obviously, we won't know until we turn it on. And whether or not it turns on is another question, because usually devices that have been kept in a box, stored for years, will just boot. So when you turn them on, it'll show the Apple logo. In this case, I don't think it's going to show anything because it's been 10 years. But before we attempt to turn that on, let's go ahead and see what we had in the box here. And of course, our little camera protector and tray for the actual iPhone with the little camera cutout as well. That's pretty cool to see. But what's even more important is that inside the box, we got accessories, guys. We got ear pods, we got the actual wall plug, and the actual charger as well, which is pretty cool to see. And let's also see if this phone came with a SIM card ejector. It looks like it didn't. I think Apple did end up removing this after a certain amount of time. So yeah, that definitely is not in there. But let me go ahead and clean all this up, and then we'll go ahead and attempt to turn this iPhone 6s on. All right, guys, so moment of truth. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing powered on. I'm going to save the plastic wrap for the end of the video, but let's go ahead and see if this thing still has juice. We'll give it a second. And it looks like we got the Apple logo. I hope this thing doesn't boot loop. Please show the charging sign. Oh, okay, so it looks like, guys, the battery on this device is bad. So what that means is we're gonna have to do a manual battery swap from an older iPhone 6s, which I actually have right over here. And I'm gonna have to transfer this battery inside of this phone. The reason why this isn't turning on is because the battery is really old. It's depleted, and after 10 years, the battery is just failing to power up the operating system. So let's go ahead and do a battery swap. I'll come back to this video and see if we can get this phone set up. But man, this is looking pretty interesting so far. I kind of expected this just because of how old this phone is. But let me go ahead and do that swap for you guys real quick, and we'll come back to the video. All right, guys, so it is the next day, and we officially have this battery replaced. You can see we got the Slide 2 set up. That is a very good indicator that this phone is 100% running iOS 9, which is awesome to see. Now, before we attempt to activate this device, you guys can see here the process was a little tedious. I had to take out the battery, and it was really stuck in there, especially the actual display itself. And you can also see that there was an AT&T SIM card. So I'm going to see if this phone can activate with that SIM card. But let's go ahead and take off this plastic seal real quick. You guys can see that is always a satisfying moment when you're unboxing one of these iPhones. That's pretty nice to see. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and set this phone up as we normally would. So let's go ahead and select English, United state. Guys, after I click join, we will find out if this phone can activate. Let's go ahead and do it. And it's joining Wi-Fi now. And let's see. Oh, okay, so that was a lot of suspense. I might have typed that in wrong. Let's go ahead and see if this works. And is it gonna activate? Let's see. It's taking its time. Let's see if this activates. Nah, it didn't activate. Okay, let's try this again. Activation error, already 10% battery. This battery has like 67% battery, so we gotta be super quick with this. But yeah, unfortunately this phone is not gonna activate. But for the sake of science, of course guys, we do have a couple SIM cards here on standby as well. As you guys can see, we have a Bell SIM card and a Mint Mobile SIM card as well. These are my old SIM cards from when I used to live in Canada, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop one of those into this phone right over here. And you can see this is the original AT&T SIM card, so that's pretty cool to see. But let's go ahead and pop in this Bell SIM card. This is my old SIM card from when I used to live in Canada. And obviously it's not going to be activated anymore, but I just want to see if a non-AT&T SIM card works in this device. And is it going to work? Let's give it a second to register. I would be really surprised if this did actually work. And yeah, it looks like it didn't. The reason why this phone doesn't activate, again, we don't know exactly why. It started happening a couple years ago. People started reporting it. It only affects the iPhone 6s, the 6s Plus, the SE, and I believe any iPads that have the Apple A9X chip. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see. Now I will say guys, someone at Apple actually did reach out to me via email a few months back. I'm not sure how much detail I can go into it, but they basically asked me for my syslog files from my iPhone 6s Plus, which is already activated with iOS 9. And yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna look into it and see what issues might be causing this activation error. But I think it's pretty cool that someone from Apple was watching my videos and they know about the issue. So at least someone at Apple knows about this issue. So hopefully this gets fixed sometime in the future. But for now, this phone is not going to be able to activate. Obviously, there are ways to get past the activation screen, but I'm not going to show that on my channel just because it does discuss a couple things that I'm pretty sure are considered against YouTube's terms of service. So we're not going to be doing that on today's video, but I'm going to leave it there, guys. I think this is what is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. As you guys may have seen, the iPhone 17 was revealed about a week ago. We got a glimpse into what Apple is coming out with. Of course, the 17, the iPhone Air, and the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Now I'm going to talk about which device I ended up ordering in today's video, my first impressions and reactions, and of course the iPhone bumper case, which I am so excited to see that Apple has finally brought back. We'll talk about this towards the end. But real quick, guys, just in terms of the event, I think this event was very much hardware focused, not many mentions of Apple Intelligence at all. But I just want to say, guys, I think the iPhone 17 is one of the best value iPhones that Apple has ever come out with. It just looks stunning. The colors look amazing. Obviously, the design itself is the exact same from last year. But I think the regular base iPhone 17 is going to be one of the best selling iPhones simply because it has a 120 hertz display. It also has internal 256 gigs of starting storage, which, you know, that is already such a big plus. And the fact that the price didn't change, at least here in the US, it is still $799 off contract, fully unlocked. When it comes to the iPhone Air, I think that this device really just is all about the looks. I mean, this thing is crazy thin. I think it was like 5.6 millimeters, which is just insane when we think about it. The iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus, which came out in 2014, were considered the thinnest iPhones ever. Ever since those phones came out, Apple has never made a thinner iPhone, and I think there might have been a couple reasons why. I mean, Unbox Therapy, this other YouTuber, he made a video where he bent the iPhone 6 Plus back in 2014. This caused so much negative PR for Apple that I think they literally kicked him off of the PR program, so they didn't end up sending him any more Apple products for review and stuff like that. And yeah, I just don't think he has a very good relationship with Apple anymore, but I think that video alone ended up sending him any more Apple products for review and stuff like that. And yeah, I just don't think he has a very good relationship with Apple anymore, but I think that video alone caused a lot of brand damage to Apple, and so Apple just needed to fix up the design of the phone, and I think they were a little scared to make another thin iPhone because of issues like these. But 11 years later, I think they've finally perfected the design, and I'm pretty confident that this phone isn't going to bend the same way that the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus did. So hopefully that's going to play a role in the sturdiness of this design. But when it comes to the iPhone Air, I think if you're considering this device, you're going to be buying this phone for its looks and not very much so for its performance, specifically relating to the battery here. I mean, the battery is going to be much smaller. Apple is obviously offering a battery pack specifically for this device as well. I don't even think it works with any other iPhone model, which is kind of weird. I mean, we haven't seen an iPhone presentation like this in a very long time. I feel like this was an iPhone 10 moment for Apple in 2025. But yeah, I think this phone might sell well. It's a little hard to say right now, but you have to remember that Apple has experimented a lot with these iPhones in the past. I mean, they came out with the mini iPhone, that ended up failing. They came out with the Plus iPhone, that also ended up failing. And so the iPhone Air is kind of like Apple's last resort here. I mean, if this phone doesn't work out, what are they going to do as an alternative, right? We have the iPhone, we have the iPhone Pro series. So if the Air goes away, is Apple just going to keep those two iPhones, or are they going to come out with something else? I think the iPhone Air, in my opinion, is going to be here to stay. Obviously, Apple isn't going to be refreshing this model every single year, but more importantly, guys, we got bumper cases back. This is so exciting and really cool to see. So for those who don't remember, back in 2010 when Apple came out with the iPhone 4, this was the first iPhone to feature antennas on the side of the iPhone itself. But what ended up happening is when people were taking phone calls, this caused the antenna signal to drop, and Apple realized that this was a legit internal flaw with the design of the phone. And so they came out with these really cool bumper cases, which would basically help boost your signal with devices that were affected. And they work for both the iPhone 4 and the 4S, and you could even buy them for $29 at the time. But Apple ended up discontinuing them. They were never available for the iPhone 5, and for the last 15 years, we haven't seen them, but they're finally coming back. So that is very, very exciting to see. I think part of the reason why Apple didn't bring these back for such a long time was because they were associated with antenna gate. So maybe Apple was a little embarrassed that they had to make a product just so the phones could get a signal. But honestly, I don't think too many customers care about that anymore. Obviously, they're not going to provide the most amount of protection for your phone, but they are available for the iPhone Air. So all I have to say to that is thank you, Apple. If you're watching this video, I think this is going to get a lot of people excited. And lastly on this list is, of course, the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Obviously, we got a better camera, we got better battery, they're a little bit thicker as well. I actually ended up going with the 17 Pro Max here in silver, 256 gigs. So I'm very, very excited to check that out. But yeah, I mean, I think these phones are very much similar to last year. Obviously, we have Vapor chip.
I've spent the last few hours hands-on with every new iPhone. So that's the way better than expected iPhone 17, this shockingly thin new iPhone Air, and then the big boys, the 17 Pro and Pro Max. I'm not gonna lie to you, after the very slow event last year, this one is a complete reshuffle. Like, this one changes how I see the entire iPhone lineup. Because it starts with the basic iPhone 17, which, you know, when you first look at it, it's almost identical to the iPhone 16 last year. The same camera layout, the same buttons.
I hope I don't end up regretting this. Hey everyone, it's your favorite tech influencer with the messed up hair, Greg here. And it's that time of year again where I have gone through another iPhone pre-order session, but this time felt really different from previous years because I have never had this hard of a time deciding which iPhone model I was going to purchase and use for myself for the rest of the year. For the past few years, that choice has always been the Pro Max model. Basically, the highest end, most expensive, most money you could spend on an iPhone. In fact, last year, I bought the most expensive 1 terabyte iPhone 16 Pro Max. And the reason why I usually gravitated towards the larger Pro phones is pretty simple. I didn't really want to miss out on any feature, and I would always want the biggest battery, which any smart and reasonable person at this point would be wondering, Greg, why are you buying the iPhone Air, which is missing so many features from the Pro model, only has 1 camera, which any smart and reasonable person at this point would be wondering, Greg, why are you buying the iPhone Air, which is missing so many features?
At least a pussy clout there.
No, Pro model only has
Your
one
phone.
camera and has the worst battery life out of any of the iPhone 17 models. Have you gone completely insane? The iPhone Air, which is missing so many features from the Pro model, only has one camera and has the worst.
One fucking camera. Yo.
Battery life
Joe.
out of any of the iPhone 17 models. Have you gone completely insane? Maybe, because I think one thing, and even I can admit this, is if you are purchasing the iPhone Air, you have to accept that on most metrics, you are paying more for an iPhone that technically does less than the